I think we're seeing maybe a little bit of inflation pressure cropping up around the world. And in the United States, the CPI index, of course, tells us that we've had a strong month. And maybe the convergence to the Fed's longer run target is a little ahead of schedule relative to what many of us thought.
So is the PCE going to hit 2%? We're going to get that report in a couple of weeks. That's what the Fed really gauges, right? We know we've got the core CPI at 2.5 and the headline, excuse me, at 2.3 and the headline at 2.5. But now people are saying, ooh, the PCE is going to hit that 2% mark, and now the Fed is going to be on the spot because that's a target.
Well, understand, this is not a precise, exacting landing of a helicopter on a point. And you don't claim victory just because you've had a month that is close to the target. This is a target for the longer run. I don't think it's ever going to be precisely 2%, but we're looking to be around 2% according to the PCE index. And I find it encouraging that we're seeing that movement in that direction. But it could be followed by months in which we're off target a little bit. So it's a little bit more of a longer-term judgment than it is a precise game of hitting a target.
Okay. In Alabama this week, where my Bloomberg News colleague Steve Matthews covers you so closely, you said there was no urgency and no compelling reason to move on the key rate, the March meeting, which is now just about a month away. Did the inflation report change your mind at all?
Certainly the inflation report, the retail sales report that we just saw tell me that the economy is on the path I expected or a little stronger. So that if I were participating in the meeting and if I were one of the policymakers in this particular decision, I would find myself sort of persuadable that we could have a rate increase. It would be consistent with the path that I think the economy's on. But I overall still feel that what I saw at the beginning of the year as the path for the economy is what we're experiencing, and I premised 2 rate moves on that outlook. I could probably go either way at this point based on what we've seen in recent data. I would caution everyone, however, not to overreact to 1 month's data.
Okay, a lot of people, seems to me, are reacting very strongly to Fed Chair Yellen's testimony over the past 2 days. She did say it would be unwise for the Fed to wait too long, although she had said that also recently. She did say the economy is growing. Some people found it the most bullish testimony, most dovish testimony that Yellen has given for some time. Did you hear it, read it that way?
I saw the news reports that kind of labeled it as hawkish. My reading of what she had to say was that it was measured and that it really didn't say a lot more than we have been saying, many of us have been saying, and that is that 2017 is likely to be a year in which we see some rate moves, some rate hikes. Whether that's 2 or 3 remains to be seen. And I think she kept all options open, and she kept the March meeting live, which is exactly what I think is the right posture at this moment.
Isn't every meeting live?
I beg your pardon?
Isn't every meeting live?
Every meeting should be live. They tend to have been meetings in which there are press conferences scheduled, and the meetings in which we've moved, and so we've gotten into a situation where much of the world expects it to be a press conference meeting versus a non-press conference meeting. But yes, every meeting should be live.
Well, you anticipated my next question. You reminded me what I need to ask you next, because it's so interesting. Over the last couple of days, if you look on Bloomberg World Interest Rate Projections, our very famous work page, as of yesterday, well, actually, as of today is Thursday, as of Wednesday, the odds of a May hike had surpassed 50%. As I was looking at it last night, they were up around 61%. I think they're still around that level. Can the Fed do an interest rate increase when there is no press conference afterwards for the Fed chair to explain what the Fed did and why?
Yes, we can do that. The Fed can do that. There is a mechanism in place, as you know, to call an ad hoc press conference on short notice if the FOMC is going to make a decision. So everything is possible. We have 8 meetings a year, and each of those meetings should be live, and particularly this year, I think you should have to assume that something could happen even in a non-scheduled press conference meeting.